Let's talk about some books that were disappointments for me. Starting off with the two that I don't have physical copies of. The first one is Men Have Called Her Crazy, and this is a memoir by Anna Marie Tendler. And I really didn't like it. I actually have a full review posted on my page that did really well, and so I think a lot of people agreed with me on this. I think that Anna Marie Tendler's story is interesting and I think it's worth reading, but she didn't have any personal growth within that memoir. I think that was kind of the issue for me. She very much is a man hater and just kind of leaves it at that. And I don't like that. I want there to be some personal growth, maybe some realizations that are helpful and a positive outlook going forward. And I did not really get that from that book. Another one that disappointed me is Puck and Prejudice. I have also posted a full review of this. This was touted as a Pride and Prejudice retelling where the male main character is a hockey player. And that is combining two of my favorite things of hockey romance and Pride and Prejudice. And it really let me down because the characters just accepted their wonky circumstances without much questioning, which I didn't feel was realistic. So that one was unfortunately a letdown. So now getting to the ones that I actually have copies of. This one is very recent, but Intermezzo by Sally Rooney is definitely a disappointment for me. I felt that the prejudices that were outlined in the story, I think, are really a bit old fashioned, at least for my specific taste. And while I know people are much more conservative than I am, I just didn't really like the whole conflict, just like simply being their age gap in their relationship. I thought that was kind of lame. And I really just did not like the brother, and so it really kind of soured the whole book for me. If it was more focused on the main relationship in this book, I would have enjoyed it more, but I didn't like all the side stuff going on. The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager is another disappointment. I think a lot of people agree that this is Riley Sager's probably worst book, except for maybe Survive the Night. I actually probably liked that one less than this one. This, I think, really let me down. It had such a good premise that the execution of it and the way that the main character was just very drunk the whole time, it felt just lazy. Listen for the Lie is one that I would consider a disappointment because of how much hype it got, and it still continues to get. So many people say this is one of the best thrillers they read in 2024. And I think I enjoyed it, but it's so unmemorable to me that based on the amount of hype, I would expect it to be mind blowing, and it just really wasn't. Same applies for Red Rising. Based on the amount of hype that my fantasy mutuals and friends on here love this book, I thought I was going to really, really enjoy it. It wasn't bad, but it was not for me. It felt like a lot of other dystopian and fantasy books just take those tropes and combine them and put them in this book. It felt like Divergent and Uglies and Hunger Games all mushed together, and I've already read those. I don't think I need this in my life. And in those other stories, I connect so much with the characters that I want to keep going almost regardless of the plot. Where this, I think I liked the plot more. I didn't really care about the characters. I didn't have enough buy-in, I guess. And then lastly, this sort of applies to Lisa Jewell as an author. I have not really enjoyed any of her books that I've read. Then She Was Gone was the most recent one that I read, but I also did not like None of This Is True. I felt like None of This Is True, especially in Listen for the Lie, were like basically the same story. This was very similar. I didn't connect with it. These ones were disappointing for me, again, based on the amount of hype that I've seen them get.